vs Superman. I refuse to call it Batman v Superman because that's just stupid.
But that's what I call it.
But they just removed the V. I mean,
Yeah, and
they just removed the S.
yeah, and it's stupid, so I call it that.
Yeah, but that's what they call it. That's what everyone calls it, like it's cool. So I'm not going
Fine.
to participate in that. I'm going to call it Batman vs Superman, which is what it actually is.
You know what I'm gonna call it Batman 5 Superman.
I like it. I like that. From now on, that's what it is. Batman 5 Superman. I like that. Well, alright. I guess we should probably introduce this if this is actually going somewhere. So, yeah, I'm Mark Cochran.
I'm Ian.
So anyway, we're going to probably be, hopefully, doing this more often. Reviewing movies and stuff like that. Mostly will be related to superheroes and Batman in general, just because there's so much doing. We're gonna have to do one for Killing Joke, and we're gonna have to do one for Suicide Squad, eventually.
Yeah.
I feel like we're a little bit past time with Batman 5 Superman.
Yeah, it's already the.
But
I think
it's only been about a month since Ultimate Edition came out.
no. I think the big reason is Suicide has taken a lot of the spotlight, but I kind of see what you're saying. But it's still relevant. The debate is still going on, and it will forever probably.
Yeah, but there's not a debate. Like it's a false debate.
Yeah, exactly. They think there's a debate.
No. Most people don't. Like even DC people don't like this movie for the most
Oh
part.
wait.
Like even the massive DC fanboys, most the sane ones,
Yeah.
still don't like this movie. Clearly, you can already tell we don't like this movie. And we were talking about this a year or so in advance. That this movie was
more
going to
than
be
that.
bad. But like literally, like over a year, we were already talking about it. We're like, this is going to be terrible, and all these people would hold out hope and stuff like that. It's like, no. There is no hope.
You see it happening still.
Right, yeah, and to be honest, I kind of have part of that. I kind of want to be like, I want to like this movie.
Of course.
Like,
Yeah.
I was, we were even watching it over again today, to talk about it again, and I'm still sitting there like, I'm literally writing down the pros of this movie, trying to find something to hold on to that's good.
Yeah.
And it's just about impossible. Like you're literally scraping the bottom of the barrel. But there are a few positives, but they don't even make a dent really in the
Well, because that's why I hear is that people go, well, no, there's a lot of good stuff in the movie. In a movie called Batman vs Superman, there better be some good stuff in there. If you make a movie called Batman vs Superman and there's nothing good, you need to go to the psych ward. Because, I don't give them a whole lot of credit, because people are like, there's some really cool scenes. Again, I'd hope there would be at least some in a movie with Batman and Superman,
right,
you know?
it's like, for the Batman vs Superman movie, it shouldn't be, oh, there were a couple of cool things. No, the whole movie should be amazing. And then with a couple of faults.
Yeah.
Like that's the way I look at, one of the best examples, I think some of the most perfect superhero movies ever made were the first two Spider-Man movies.
I agree.
I think they were absolutely fantastic. Were they perfect? No.
No.
But when you look at that movie, you're like, that was a great movie, except they didn't do web shooters, except they're a little bit too old, except like you can point to except the Green Goblin costume looks stupid, but like that's it. You're pointing these few things that are bad, but the movie as a whole was great.
Yeah,
It's the
and that's
exact opposite with Batman vs Superman, or Batman 5 Superman, or Batman v Superman, or BVS, which is the dumbest one out of all of them.
and that's like what I kind of contribute to what's going on again with Suicide Squad is that there's this critic versus fan theory where it's like the biggest problem is they're just not good movies. People talk about what they like about it, and what do they say? Oh, I like this character, I like this scene, but they never mention, oh, I like the directing, the writing, the story. No, they're just not good movies, and that's why critics don't like them.
Well, okay. To be fair with that, the movies are very well not well constructed.
Yeah, I can't say that.
They're well, and by
They're well made.
I
Yeah.
mean like they look good.
I know what you mean.
They look
I know what you mean.
really, really good, and I noticed that watching it today. If you just like pause it on the screen, except for like the end fight, which is 100% CGI and is ridiculous, like it looks really nice. Like the shots look good, and that's one thing Zack Snyder's known for. He can create a good visual on screen.
No doubt.
But that doesn't matter when there's zero effort put into this writing.
Yeah.
Like the script is a mess. The editing is atrocious, which
Yeah.
gets a little bit better with the Ultimate Edition, but it doesn't really matter because the stuff that's extended is dumb anyway.
Yeah,
So
and it
it's-
makes it way too long. It makes it 3.5 hours almost.
Yeah, it's. I mean, but I don't mind a movie being too long. To me,
No!
I'd prefer most superhero movies to be longer, but it depends on the pacing of the movie and what's in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, when there's too much in a movie, and so then they have to make it that much longer to fit everything, that's
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah, it means you have too much.
Then it just drags on, and to me, this movie, one of the biggest sins for Batman versus Superman is it is so boring. Like, it
Yeah.
drones on and on and on. Even a bad movie, if it's at least exciting, you can sit through, even if you don't
Yeah.
particularly enjoy it.
Yeah.
But this movie just drags and goes on. At one point, I remember I was looking up, and I don't remember exactly what book ends it, but there's like a stretch of like 50 minutes to an hour where there is zero action or anything of substance that's happening. It's
Yeah, I
like
know
all
what you're
these
talking
little vignette scenes of like Lex talking with the senator, then like Clark talking to his mom, and then like Bruce talking to Alfred, and it's like all,
Lois
like,
in DC.
all in a row. Yeah. And
Yeah, I
there's
know what you're talking
nothing
about.
that actually happens. It's just a bunch of exposition that's bad anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I fell asleep the second time I went to go see it. I literally fell asleep. I never fall asleep while watching movies, especially in a movie theater.
Yeah.
And I completely
That
fell
says
asleep
a lot.
about halfway through the movie because it was just so dull.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't know, and this was really disappointing for a lot of people, but for me it wasn't as disappointing because I was already expecting to be disappointed.
I mean, I was the same way, but it's so disappointing for me because it's the first time we're seeing Batman and Superman together after, 70 years, if that?
75 years.
75 years, and this is what we get.
Right. Yeah, when I think about that, I just get depressed.
Yeah, and that's what's. I mean, I agree. I mean, we knew this was going to be a train wreck. I mean, from like a year out.
When they finally meet, it's the "Do you bleed?" That's the scene.
Tell me. Do you bleed? You will.
We're gonna
It's
get
literally
that scene.
Superman going, "Stop it!"
Yeah,
and leaving.
we're gonna get to that scene, and why I say that is the worst scene in the movie.
Ooh, wow. Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting right there. But anyway, so yeah, well, this is kind of just talking about the movie and the Ultimate Edition specifically.
Yeah.
Because that to me is the full movie. Because I swear
Argue.
what they did to cut down is they literally just are like, all right, this is all Lex's plan. Let's cut all that so nobody has any idea what's going on, and then release the movie. Because you cannot. Okay, Lex's plan is already bad. You can't even follow it in the first movie.
Yeah, the people who were defending Lex before this cut came out, like up until the Ultimate Edition came out, they should be ashamed for them trying to defend it. You can still try to defend it now; it's still difficult, but at least it kind of makes
There's at
sense.
least a story now. You don't even see a story happening. Like
No.
at the beginning. Okay, we can just start with the beginning.
Yeah, let's
Okay,
start
you know
the
what?
scene.
You know what? Let's just start at the beginning of the movie. The first
Okay.
scene is the whole death of the Waynes, and that's fine. I don't. People
Fine.
really hate that. They're like, oh, we've seen it, but it's like, of course you have to see that. Of course it has to be in there. But instead of making it a big thing, they just threw it in the opening credits, and that's all it was. That's fine.
Totally fine.
I thought it was
Totally
fine. I
fine.
thought the scene was done well. It's Zack Snyder obsessed with slow motion guns. And
Except
then but I'm
my-
sitting there and I'm already like, this movie's gonna suck. But it's like, okay, Death of the Waynes, it's fine. They do the pearls, they do the gun, they do the thing. Thomas Wayne is played by that comedian, which is cool. And then you have Bruce running from the thing, and it's literally like cut out of Batman Begins. And you're like, okay, you do realize that scene's not from the comics. Him falling down a hole and being swarmed by bats. You do realize that was constructed for Batman Begins, which was used very well in Batman Begins. And it's fine. It's something different. Like, I'm not opposed to them changing stuff or whatever.
No, it's only a little bit.
And then he starts flying, and you're like, what is going on?
But Mark, it was a dream because Bruce Wayne talked about how it was a dream.
But it's not a dream. Like, it was the death
No.
of the Waynes.
No, yeah, that part.
So are we
That'd be a great twist, though. If they were alive.
Okay, so are we seeing Bruce's nightmare of that night happening? Is that what that is? Because that would kind of make sense.
Sure.
You know, if it's now Bruce Wayne, like, having a dream about the death of his parents. Because obviously he probably has that dream almost every night.
Yeah.
Of the death of his parents. That's the whole point of the Batman character.
Yeah.
So, okay, but when you're sitting in a movie theater and you're watching all this happen, and then that happens, you're like, oh boy.
And that was a red flag. It wasn't, for me, that wasn't like, oh, we're doomed.
No.
That was like a red flag to me. It was like, oh boy,
Yeah.
don't do this. Stay with me.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
we'll get to where I lose hope.
And then there's the opening shot of the movie, which goes back to Man of Steel and is basically showing what Bruce was doing during the fight between Superman and Todd. That might be the best scene of the movie.
I would argue that too, probably.
It's fantastic, and
Yeah.
that was one of the few things that I had remotely in my mind a little bit of hope for before, because we saw that in the trailer, and I was like, that makes sense. Yeah, and it was like, okay, Bruce Wayne sees this guy destroy this whole city with never stopping anything, never saving anybody, which is what we all were up in arms about Man of Steel. Well, I was up in way more than just that, but everybody was mad
Yeah,
about
that tore the internet apart.
And so you're like, all right, he sees all this happen. He sees people he knows get killed by this fight and all this stuff. Just know. It's one thing that, okay, yes, Superman has to stop Zod, and yes, there's going to be damage, and yes, there's probably going to be casualties. And we've talked about this before. The biggest thing with that is never one time does he ever stop to save someone.
Yeah.
All he had to do was do that once or twice, and that would be fine. At least we'd know he's thinking about it.
Yeah.
Which they do in Spider-Man, they do in the
Perfectly.
Avengers, they do it in all those movies. Anyway, anyway, okay. So
That's a whole other video.
Yeah. So we see that happen. We see Bruce Wayne, and that's exactly what Bruce Wayne's doing. He's going through. He's trying to get to his building. He doesn't care. He's going through this. He's trying to save, as many people as he can. He saves Wallace at the thing. Who's strapped under the thing. Then he saves the little girl from the. And he's trying to save these people. You see a hero right here. You see Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Only time you see a hero, maybe in a movie.
There might. Yeah, I think there's a couple, but we'll get to that. But you see, it was a very exciting scene. It was well paced. I thought it was well directed. Everything made sense.
The one shot of him running into the cloud when everyone else is running, it was perfect. That's Batman and me right there. Perfect.
And then you saw a horse walking by, and you were just kind of like, right, that's
This Zack Snyder think he was clever.
Right.
Yeah.
But that sequence was great. And then with the girl saying, my mom's up there, and it being destroyed, and you're like, oh man, like you can see this character's motivation here.
It humanized the elements of Man of Steel, where Man of Steel, you're watching it, and you're like, okay, I guess human lives don't matter at the very end. And this one, it did that perfect thing of putting you in the middle of it to where you feel the effect of everything. And after that, you're like, okay, he has motivation. I get it.
Exactly. You can see why he wants this thing gone.
Yeah. Or at least stopped. Maybe not violently killed, but stopped.
Well, he definitely wanted to violently kill it, but...
We'll talk about that.
But you can see Bruce Wayne's motivation here. And I remember they showed that in the trailer, and it was like, great, there it is.
Yeah, that first trailer, I was like, okay, I might be eating some crow here. Like, they might be,
You thought that about Man of Steel, so...
Yeah, I'm guilty of that.
You fully thought Man of Steel was going to be good.
It was my first and last time where I've ever hyped a movie and been that disappointed.
I tried to tell you.
Fair enough.
Superman movies are just never good, really.
They can be, though.
The first two, I guess, but...
But they're so dated. They're still good and classic, but they really are dated.
Yeah. Anyway, but so that scene is great. I think that's arguably the best scene of the movie. Right.
Makes the most sense, easily,
it does.
yeah.
It's exciting. It's fun to watch. You see Batman in action, even though he's Bruce Wayne. You see Batman there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And so that's the opening of the movie, and you're like, all right, this is pretty good. And then it cuts, to the future, to now,
Africa,
present time, and then there's the shot of them getting the kryptonite, which that's fine.
That's actually later on.
No, that's the next scene, I think, in the Indian Ocean with them getting, or was that later?
I think that's later.
Okay. So then it goes to the
Africa.
Yeah, Africa scene. So.
So hold on.
You,
We'll talk about what did you think of it in the original edit of the Africa scene. What was your first reaction?
my first reaction was, all right, she's going to interview at, some sort of
Just gonna need saving.
thing and whatever, that's fine. And then it was like, oh, okay, now we have this CIA guy who's now found out and all this stuff. And it's like, then he's shot, and it's like, all right. And then it's like, well, that was kind of unexpected, because you don't, usually someone saves the day here, so I'm waiting for Superman to come, and it's like, oh, no, I guess he doesn't care about him. He only cares about Lois. But, and then, so then she's basically, like, captured, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here comes Superman, and he comes in, and you don't even see him do anything. You just see him fly into where Lois is.
No words.
Although I will admit, that scene was kind of cool, with her just kind of putting her hands down, just knowing, and then he just took off with him. That was kind of
kills the guy.
Right,
Yeah.
Clearly. You never see him again.
Oh, those are soft brick walls, all three of them.
Right. And then that was really the end. That was really all it was.
Yeah, really.
The original version. And then all of a sudden, the next scene cuts to like a courtroom talking about how Superman did all this stuff, and you're like, well, he didn't do anything. He just came in and saved Lois, and that was it. Like that.
Yeah.
I forgot. Does it show the other people shooting the townspeople in the original cut at all? Does it show a little bit?
In the original cut, it shows the mercenaries, like the bad guy who's supposed to be the KGBs, shooting a couple guys.
It does show that.
But that's it. Just shooting them in the back of the head, shooting the guys. That's it. Because then the bullet gets stuck in the book.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it does show that a little bit. But even still, you're like, clearly those guys killed these guys. Why in the world would they even think Superman would have to do with any of this? Why is he, like, why is all this testimony? You have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, in the extended cut, then you find out that they literally framed Superman and used flamethrowers and did all this stuff. The KG... It's not even the KGBs, which is disappointing, but... Anyway, the guy who has the same name as the guy who's the KGB's.
Russian guy. We'll call him Russian guy.
Actually, like, used a flamethrower and made it...
Which is a little foreshadowing for later on when he has a flamethrower.
And so it's like, okay, they were framing Superman. Totally did not get that at all in the original cut of the movie.
No.
So, a little bit of clarity. Dumb.
A little bit. Yeah.
It still doesn't make that much sense. And then they have and then you get to see then there's the woman testifying about Superman coming down and doing that, which based on his actions of the other movie would be plausible.
Yeah, absolutely.
if you actually think about it, that he was just kind of going down, blasting everything in sight in the first one, so it's fairly plausible.
Well, here's my problem with that whole scene. I mean, everything you said to echo. The Ultimate Edition helps definitely explain how it could possibly be thought that Superman was behind it. My problem is they flesh it out a little bit, only for it to lead nowhere. The whole Congress storyline literally is just for it to get blown up later, but also Superman is never at fault because they immediately say it was a guy in a wheelchair. So all the people are like, the Ultimate Edition fixes that. It answers questions, but it doesn't fix the overall issues of, stuff not making sense, stuff leading to nowhere. And so that's my whole problem, is that they help flesh out stuff, only for it to, they flesh out the wrong stuff, basically. The little details instead of, like, actual whole entire characters, like Lex Luthor and stuff like that. But going to the CIA guy a little bit, so of course when we first saw the movie, all you think is, you expect, because they draw it out, he whips out the gun, he cocks the gun, and you're like, okay, I know it's coming. Right before he shoots, bam, or boom, and it just blows his head off. You're like, oh, okay.
And I was disappointed because I like that guy. That's the actor from Men at Work, and he's hilarious. And I was like, oh, he's in this movie. Cool. Poof. Oh, no, he's not.
Yeah, and that's bad enough. That was my problem with Man of Steel, is that when every person you show get killed is someone we see the hero not save. Right. So, even the Avengers, a big fight at the end, we know people are dying because stuff is going through buildings. Right. You assume, okay, people are going to be dead. It doesn't adamantly show like dead corpses and mothers with children being vaporized. We get it, but that's my problem, is that we see a guy just get blown up or get his head blown off. Like, okay, Superman, drop the ball on that one, you
And
know.
also, when we do see people get killed in some of these other movies, there's a reason for it. It moves a plot forward or it does something. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even, again, people get so mad at comparing stuff to Marvel, and we're not comparing the movies to Marvel. We're comparing, like,
Execution.
superheroes.
Yeah,
Because even though they're
portrayals.
different heroes and stuff, there's still stuff that's very, very similar and should be done very similar. Like if you look at Civil War, when Scarlet Witch throws the guy with who's blowing up into a building, and then all those people die. There's a reason for it. It was a mistake by a hero who's done this. There's big repercussions from it. The character changes from it. There's all this stuff that happens in this movie. When the same type of things happen, it's just like that's it.
Or another DC movie, The Dark Knight, when the Joker starts killing the random people, because he wants Batman to unmask himself. We see him killing people in the middle of the day, and you're like, shit, Batman can't save them if he just kills people randomly, and that also leads to people being angry that he let those people die. But in this movie, they act like killing someone is no big deal. Like, oh, you think the hero should have saved him?
And that's the other thing. Going back to The Dark Knight, because of all that, he now, remember, he was going to turn himself in. He's like, I can't have this. I can't be responsible for this. Okay, that's what they should have done. Something like that with Superman. No, instead, they make him all mad that people or all sad that people are mad at him. It has nothing to do with, like, you're letting these people die. It's more like, I don't know. It just seems like the whole mentality's off.
I mean, even when, like, the freaking Capitol blows up and shows him in the wreckage, his face is like, his face should be haunted that he just let all these people just die on his watch, and he just leaves like, people are still mad at me. It's like, he should be like, again, wanting to turn himself in, just being like, I'm so sorry, what can I do to, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, and then finding out later that the guy who got shot in the head...
Well, you find out in the Ultimate version.
You find out in the Ultimate version, but we found out after the original edit. We just found out online, and on IMDb, I think it credits him. Yeah, and like, and adding the fact that that's like Superman's moral, like, foundation. Jimmy Olsen. To find out that they killed his moral foundation.
Well, he wasn't even that character. He was
not
a
in this
CIA
movie.
Agent.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's not Jimmy Olsen.
Well, no. I mean, I can still swallow the fact that they changed him. If you were still in the movie and still being Jimmy Olsen, like, trying to humanize Clark Kent and keep Superman human, but they're like, oh, no, we don't have time for that. Die.
What's worth it? What's worse, that Jimmy Olsen or the one from the Supergirl show?
I haven't seen the Supergirl show.
It's this, I don't know, I don't remember the name of the actor. But it's just a totally different character. Like, completely. Like, they make him like this giant, I think he's like a giant black guy. And, he's like more of like a protective type thing, and it's like it's just not even close to the same nothing with the character.
Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say at one point in the show he probably needs saving, and Supergirl actually saves him, unlike this where they just blow his head off in his accident.
I don't watch the show either. I just know about that much.
I've seen like the previews. I didn't know that was Jimmy Olsen.
Anyway, but so that whole scene was just kind of. Okay, it made sense in the Ultimate one, but the sense that it made wasn't good. That's kind of the thing. Like,
exactly. They didn't need Africa. They should have just picked up Raptor Man Steel, and the whole Congress hearings was about Metropolis.
Yeah.
That's all you needed.
Made more sense.
You cut out 30 minutes.
What I thought the point of the movie was from the trailers and everything.
Yeah, you see the Congress like, oh, okay, they're gonna talk.
He's responsible. He needs to account. It's like, okay, that makes sense, but no, he has to account for this Africa incident, not for him killing all these people in the city.
But you know why the Africa thing was in there? Just so Lois Lane could investigate and find out that Lex Luthor was the villain. Because that's the only reason. They give her something to do. Where's this magical bullet coming from?
Right.
But yeah, if they cut out the Africa and just picked up right after Man of Steel, that's 20 minutes probably right there of just shit you can cut out. Mm-hmm. Which this movie needed.
Yes, it did. A lot. There was just too many moving pieces, and that's a whole different issue.
Ah.
And then, what was the next scene? Was the next scene the Indian Ocean with getting the kryptonite?
The
kids diving.
There's so many scenes in the editing, so there's no flow on there.
That's another problem. There's no flow. It's just like these series of clips that are put together that have no real order. Like you don't have a sense of time.
No, there's no establishing shots either, so you don't know where people are. Like, I mean, it's bad enough that Metropolis and Gotham are 2 feet away, and there's no visual, like, differential aspects. Like, Gotham should be dark and, like, stonish, and Metropolis is shiny and light.
They're
So,
both
like,
dark.
yeah, I don't know what city they're in. Yeah, so there's no flow, but okay, but going to the Indian Ocean, whichever sequence that falls into, yeah, we see the kryptonite.
Right. Which is kind of cool, getting to see
Yeah.
Kryptonite now.
Yeah,
You know, that's fine.
credit to them for not just throwing it in the first movie right away. I mean, yeah,
I mean, you know, you have to have Kryptonite with Superman.
it's
You just have to.
it's the problem with Superman. It's the only way for any other character really to fight him. This is only like real, I don't know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean. Well, do you want to just go right to our first kind of glimpse at Batman? Would you say then?
Well, yeah. I mean, well, that's the scene. It's
Oh yeah.
you know, they're sitting there, and then they get a call about an incident or whatever it was, and they, you know, the older one and the younger one, cop or
Mhm.
whatever, because Zack Snyder just likes to destroy all these elements from Dark Knight Returns by just shoehorning them into this movie.
Yeah.
Many times, but we'll get all to all those. And so they come in the thing. You hear a bunch of stuff going on. You hear a guy screaming. You see all these like
Sex slaves.
yeah, I guess. Sex slaves maybe or something sitting there, and they're trying. You go to release him, and they don't want to go out.
Yeah, it's very built up, very like oh shit, like definitely leading to something. It's very dark and
Yeah.
horrifying.
And you hear all these screams and all this noise going from like the above room, and you see the younger cop scared to death going up the stairs, going to the thing, and then he turns a corner and you see a guy handcuffed to the wall, bloody,
Braided.
beat up with a bat brand in him, and then the cop sitting there looking at him, still terrified, and then
Yeah.
you see the camera pan around, and you see Batman just hanging on the roof in the corner there, and he sees him and starts firing at him. Batman gets out, and I like that scene. I think that's actually a pretty cool introduction to the character.
It's a cool
It's
intro.
pretty badass.
I like how it's built up and how they make Batman like this elemental like superstition almost. The only thing I don't like is how like when he starts like shooting the shotgun and Batman gets away, he almost moves like a xenomorph the way he's like and just like goes out the roof.
Yeah.
I think it would like better if like if he went to shoot Batman just punch hits the gun out of his hand, tussle, and then he's gone. But it's like he's like a weird spider like.
I would
but-
agree with that. And you know what's something that I thought about watching it today that I didn't think about the other time? What are the cops doing terrified of Batman?
Yeah,
They have
that's
a bat signal at the
Well-
police headquarters.
That's one problem I have with this movie is that they never call him Batman. They call him the Bat of Gotham, the Gotham Demon. I'm like, just call him Batman. Like, I get it. He's more than just a man. But and I guess in this universe, he's a lot more like hidden. He never really works with the police, at all.
Then
So
why is there a bat signal?
exactly that whole we'll get to that whole
Like,
scene.
I thought of that, like, while watching this. I'm like, what is this cop terrified for? It's not like Batman. It's not like in The Dark Knight Returns when he's been gone for 10 years, and now
Yeah.
it's reappearing, and it's this new thing. He's still operating and has been around, and
Yeah.
we all know it. And so,
Which I thought they were implying that he had retired since the whole death of Robin, which they never talked about or mentioned. But I thought that was what was implied, that he had stopped, and then this is what brought him out of not retirement, but whatever you would call
well,
it.
if that's the case, that should have been mentioned, because that was not
You
mentioned
think?
at all. That would have
Yeah.
that would have made a little bit more sense.
But I see what you're saying. I agree. It's almost like they don't even know what Batman is. Like, what is this? Like the guy who's been doing Batman stuff for the last 20 years, probably.
Right, yeah, that's what they say. He's been doing it for 20 years. They don't talk
Nick.
at all about him not.
I mean, I guess if it's a rookie cop, he's never actually seen him and blah blah blah. But still, yeah, it's kind of like, yeah.
Anyway, but that overall, I think that's a pretty cool sequence. You get to see
Sure.
kind of a brutal, terrifying Batman, which we
Oh,
haven't
he's-
seen
he's-
yet at all, really.
No, he's definitely brutal.
So I mean, I like that.
I think it goes to the intro of Lex next.
Oh yeah, we can skip that.
No, I want to talk about that. Okay, And that's the one problem with this movie.
The whole
Oh.
movie is bad. The single worst part of this entire movie is Lex Luthor, in my opinion.
Easily. Have you seen?
Everything, of the editing, of Batman killing people, of Superman having no character, of all the bad parts of this movie, hands down, the worst part is Lex Luthor. And I think most people would agree.
But the scary part is there's still people who say that he wasn't that bad, or like I've heard that his plan was better than the villain in Civil War. And like even if you don't like the villain in Civil War, his plan at least made sense compared to Lex Luthor and his motivation, if you could call it that.
Right. It was at least somewhat logical.
Yeah, I mean, like each step.
And I thought it was weak too. To be fair, I thought the Baron Zemo angle was a little weak in that movie too, but it didn't matter. This is one of those things where it didn't matter. And I feel like they had the same type of thought process with Batman vs Superman, where it's like, it doesn't really matter. It just brings them together at the end, because that's what it seems like. They threw it together.
They definitely thought it was smart, and they definitely thought Lex Luthor was smart. I mean, I can't stomach his dialogue scenes where he's talking about gods and like philosophy. Again, it sounds like a teenage boy who just read a book about philosophy and thinks he's smart.
Talk.
No.
He literally can't talk half the time. He's just like stuttering, and you're like, this is like.
Although I've heard one defense, whereas at the very end, the scene you're talking about in the prison with Lex, Ultimate Edition, talks about how he's like, I'm not fit to stand ground, he's acting all crazy, and Batman's all like, tough shit, well, you're going to Arkham then. Right. One of the defenses I heard was, that's why he was so crazy in the whole movie, so that when the time came for him to go to court, he'd be too insane to stand trial. It's like, well, then he thought he was going to get caught the whole time if he was acting like that.
Everything that he did.
Yeah, it's like, this is going to be great. When I eventually get caught because this plan makes no sense, I'll be too insane to be processed or whatever. It's like,
you're defeated before you even begin, if that's the thought process.
He's already thinking about when he gets caught.
Right.
When my plan inevitably doesn't work. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, the intro for him is so terrible. It's like every other character where he's like, oh, I guess that's their intro. I mean, like, Batman's like the only one who, Bruce Wayne and Batman are the only ones who have a cool intro. Superman just flies down, gives his angry face, okay, he's back, awesome. And then Lex Luthor is, shooting a basketball, and you're like, oh, God. And then, okay, title for worst scene in the movie, this is definitely up there. The Jolly Rancher in the senator's mouth. You know what that was? That was them thinking, like, this will really show how powerful Lex Luthor is, because he can get away with shoving a Jolly Rancher. It's like, that's the best thing you could come up with in terms of showing how, like, afraid the senators and politicians are of him, where he sensually shoves a piece of candy in a grown man's mouth.
When I went to go see the movie first, I was with one of my friends, and we literally just sat there and made fun of it the whole time, and it was a lot of fun. We couldn't even make fun of that scene. It was like, there was nothing to say. It was just like, pretty self-explanatory.
Makes you never want a Jolly Rancher ever again.
No, it doesn't. Sales plummeted after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, everything that character does is just...
Yeah, but the whole point of that scene is setting up how he wants to, I guess, import the shipment of kryptonite into Metropolis, and then we get to the eventual storyline between him and what's that? Bonnie, what's the chick's name? The actress, Connie, no, something. The senator from Kentucky. I know her name, I can't remember.
Yeah, Holly Hunter.
Holly Hunter, thank you. Yeah, but yeah, that was when I knew Lex Luthor, that was when I knew Lex Luthor wasn't in this movie.
No, he was, yeah, that's a good way to put it. He was not in this movie.
No.
Yeah, so we got the introduction to Lex, and then in the not too soon, or pretty soon after that, we had in the Ultimate Edition, you had basically. Well, it kind of had this in the theatrical version. Basically, Clark Kent is finding out about Batman.
Yeah.
In this part,
which I'm glad they added.
Right, and in the original one, he sees the thing on TV or whatever. But in this one, he sees this, and you actually see him investigate this Batman character.
Be a reporter.
Right. Yeah, you're going to see him be a reporter. And I mean, I kind of like that scene. That felt like a little bit of Clark Kent. He's
Yeah,
going
that's
to Gotham, and
that's what you expected in this movie for it to be like Bat or Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne trying to figure out stuff about the other one, and then eventually leading to their like slowly and sequentially building up to their showdown. Where this movie doesn't. It's right. Like he sees him on TV. I'm gonna fight him next. Like that's it.
I don't
No.
like him. That's really all it was.
Basically, yeah.
And but with this one, you had him actually see that, and be like, that seems wrong. And
Yeah,
then
he goes
over there. He tries to find some lady to talk to. And
Yeah, he talks
the
about
other
the
people there are like, no, she's gone or whatever. And then the guy's like, it's getting dark. You don't want to be caught out when he shows up.
Yeah.
And then you have the other lady being like, it's only if you're doing something wrong you got to be worried about. It's like, this is a real conversation. This seems like real people and a real response to Batman.
Yeah.
Like that was great. I really liked that scene. I thought it really built up the Batman character.
Yeah, it also gave a tone for Gotham itself and kind of how they feel about Batman.
Which is the way it is.
Yeah, or I'm sorry, how they feel about the Bat or the Bat Gotham.
Right. I didn't even realize they never said Batman. They don't in the entire movie, do they?
It's so stupid. Ugh.
I honestly didn't even catch that.
I don't know why they.
Just like how they never said Superman in Man of Steel.
Except for the one scene.
The throwaway
like,
line that was forced.
Yeah, and even they were like, that's not right. He's not Superman.
Yeah.
No.
Man, I never even got that. That's funny.
They might. Oh, shit, no, they may not have ever, because Lex Luthor says, the Bat, or the Gotham Bat versus, whatever, Son of Krypton, and yeah, I really don't think they do. Maybe Bruce Wayne does? Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne might. Man, now I can't
But-
even think of it. That's funny.
If so, he'd be the only one. No one else does. No one ever says, "Oh, look." No, Perry White does, because he goes, "No one cares. No one cares about Bruce Wayne taking on the Batman."
He does.
I think so.
No, he does. He definitely does.
Okay.
That's in the trailer too.
Yeah.
He definitely does. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But that's it.
I think the next scene, like, is that when Lex, or is that when like Wallace
Hates
vandalizes
this.
the statue? Is that sometime?
Yeah, it's right around there.
Again, it's so hard to remember exact order.
It seems like we haven't even watched the movie, but
It
it's
does.
so.
It does.
I watched it recently. I watched it
Today.
kind of background-ish,
Right.
but yeah.
Like, we literally watched this today, and it's still hard to remember what happens when, because it's just so much and so long and so disorganized.
Yeah.
After that, there's a scene in the Batcave with Alfred, who's building the metal Batman's exosuit, which you see there, which I was so happy with. It was like, finally, we have Alfred who's actually making everything. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it is in most of the stories. Alfred makes the stuff. He's a mechanic, and he's all this stuff, and and he builds most of Batman's stuff. Obviously, Bruce Wayne can do it too, in a way,
But he's got the time to do it.
Right. So I love that they showed that. I really liked Jeremy Irons' Alfred, and I think most people did.
Yeah, absolutely. He was awesome.
A little bit different. It was less butlery. But,
Yeah. But I mean, I also kind of contribute that to it's been like 20 or however many years where he doesn't need a butler anymore, and they just kind of grown past that. Where now because Bruce basically lives alone in that little lake house, so basically now all he really is here
That's
for.
true. He doesn't even live in Wayne Manor.
Nah,
Yeah.
I doubt they'll ever even go back to Wayne Manor, which is kind of sad.
It is. Although they did that with the Dark Knight too. That was the one thing I didn't like about the Dark Knight.
Sure,
He's never
but
in Wayne Manor or the Batcave. He's in that stupid little construction site.
But it made sense because the first movie it had burned down. So, but it was only for one movie. But I agree, it was still sad not seeing him in his natural,
But I thought the
iconic.
cave was fine. I thought it was.
Yeah.
It was, I had no problems with it. It looked cool. It was modern. It would be modern.
Yeah, right. It's got a different layout because it's not in a cave. Yeah,
Right.
it's fine.
I had no problem with it. I thought it was cool. But yeah, I liked this Alfred. It definitely is more on the verge of the revamped Alfred that Jeff Johns did with Batman Earth 1, and which they made Alfred. Obviously Alfred's supposed to be special ops for
Like MI5.
or whatever. And they really showed that in the. I don't know if you ever read Batman Earth 1 by Jeff Johns. It's great. And basically it kind of changes a little bit of the origin and kind of the characterization. And Alfred's basically kind of like this Alfred. He's like a badass character. Where he's like beating up Bruce Wayne and you know, they're literally fighting in scenes and stuff. And he's much more of a hard type character instead of just like the butler that you see a lot of times.
I haven't watched the Gotham show, and I never will, of course, but I have heard that that's also what they do in the show. Is that that's how Alfred is? He's like, "Shut up, Master Wayne."
Yeah.
And like he's,
I
he's.
I watched the first 2 episodes, which
I can't.
But
Can't.
shouldn't have. But that's a different
No.
thing. But
Moving on.
I really enjoyed Jeremy Irons' Alfred. I think it made sense. He had the sarcasm.
Oh yeah.
He had everything down with
And also, he was kind of the voice of reason because I didn't like Batman in this movie because I thought he was overly dumb and chest beating and like just I'm gonna kill him and like but Alfred's the one who's like he's not the enemy, dude. And it's like that's how Batman would be thinking. And granted, you can add the fact that he's very emotionally distraught because of the opening scene in Metropolis and the death of Robin. You could say too, but yeah, I liked how. Yeah, I liked how Alfred was. Yeah, he was sarcastic and stuff, but he was still at moments. It's like, don't do this. Like, don't let yourself get killed. But he wasn't crying the whole time, like Master Wayne.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Nothing against Michael Caine's Alfred.
No, love Michael Caine. Nothing but yeah.
But I like this Alfred. This fit with this world
Yeah.
and with this Batman. That was perfect Alfred to fit.
Yeah, like I forget the old actor who was in the Schumacher and the Burton ones, but like that kind of Alfred.
The worst Alfred in the history of Alfreds.
Yeah, but and it wouldn't fit with this one either. If Bruce Wayne is like doing steroids and Alfred's like Mr. T, like Mr. Wayne, it just wouldn't fit. So yeah, I agree. It fit with this one definitely.
And
it was like,
and he would just bring Wonder Woman into the Batcave, which Batman did himself anyway, so it didn't even matter. I'm going to get to that later, too. This Batman has no secret identity.
Nope.
But, anyway,
But-
so you have that scene with him.
so that should. You want to take that to the party scene because I mean it's basically right after. Okay.
Yeah. And so basically he's like, I was trying to find this information about the white Portuguese, who he thinks is a person at the time.
Get into that too.
And, we get later he lies to Alfred saying it's a dirty bomb, but really he knows it's the kryptonite that is being smuggled in.
Oh, I totally forgot. Yeah, I totally forgot to take up the fact that he lies to Alfred.
And anyway, so then Alfred's like, he's talking about the last night, basically the scene that we'd seen before with him torturing the guy, and he's like, I didn't get anything out of him. He was just a low level, he knew nothing. And so basically Alfred is like, well, Batman isn't getting anything done. Why not Bruce Wayne? Because Bruce already sees this connection to Lex Luthor. And so he's like, well, Bruce Wayne's been invited to this thing for Lex or whatever, so... Then we see him go to the party, and we have one of the other dumbest parts of the entire movie. The fact that Clark Kent has no idea who Bruce Wayne is. That's another thing I wanted to mention. Nobody knows who Bruce Wayne... Again, at some point right around there, either right before or right after, it's when he's at the Fight Club.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne's at a Fight Club.
Thank you.
Nobody knows who he is.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, God.
And if they do, it's not implied.
No.
So... If people argue, they all knew him so well that they didn't even say anything. It's like, no, BS. If Bruce Wayne was there, if any celebrity or any big person was anywhere, they would be sworn by people.
Yeah. Vicky Vale would be talking about how Bruce Wayne was in a dirty fight club with known Russian mobsters. And like,
Vicky Vale would just be screaming.
The real Vicky Vale.
Anyways, that was kind of, it was kind of a cool scene, but it was dumb at the same time.
I'm going to get into that. One of my biggest complaints I've heard, my complaint, and one thing I've heard about this movie, what people have said, they're like, it was so cool finally seeing Batman doing detective stuff. He doesn't.
No,
he doesn't.
No.
He does spy stuff where he copies the guy's phone and then he hacks into LexCorp. That's it.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything detective. To me, the only real detective thing in a movie at all has been in The Dark Knight, where he takes a bullet out of the wall, scans it, shoots the gun, looks at the ballistics, and gets the fingerprint. That is actual detective stuff. Otherwise, just hacking is not detective-y. And people say that about this movie. I'm like, he's the least detective in this movie. He just kills people.
He's more of a detective in this movie than Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, so I had to get that out there, because I've heard that where it's,
No,
him typing on computer.
is
The
we're just going to
dumbest.
talk about this Batman in general. This portrayal
Yeah.
of Batman
Yeah.
looks great.
Looks
Best
great.
outfit we've ever had on screen.
Sure.
You know, the most believable looking Batman we've ever
Most,
seen.
like, I don't know.
Physical, most
Yeah.
like, imposing, intimidating Batman.
Yeah.
But the dumbest bag of rocks you've ever seen in a Batman suit.
Freaking caveman.
Like, this is the dumbest Batman, like, since George Clooney. Like he...
Dumber.
To be fair, every Batman has really been pretty dumb. The only
To some degree,
to be honest,
yeah.
Michael Keaton's Batman was probably the least dumb out of all of them, if you really think about it. There really was no moments where he's just dumb, but Christian Bale's Batman was dumb.
Parts.
But this Batman, he had no idea what was going on the whole time. He's being played by Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
No clue, no idea. He thinks he's just gonna kill Superman.
Yeah.
There's no thinking with this
No.
Batman at all. Like, nothing's on. It's just emotional reactions.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
the exact opposite of what Batman is supposed to be.
I was so angry at right at the showdown with them, where we found out that Superman and his mother has been kidnapped, and like Clark comes down and he's like, "Listen to me, Bruce. I know who you are. We never talked about
That
when
was
I found
dumb,
out who you
too.
were."
How in the
But
world
he-
does he know he's Bruce?
But he's going, because we know that his
He
mother
doesn't
is.
even know who Bruce Wayne is.
No, exactly. But he's going like, "Bruce, listen to me." And Batman's like, "Here I am. You didn't think I'd show up, did you?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Don't worry about that. I forgive you. I need to talk." He's like, "You gotta kill me, don't you?" Like, "No, Bruce, I'm not here to kill you. Listen to me. How about some machine gun?" Like, he's so stupid in the
He
last.
took so much time making those weapons, he just really wanted to use them,
I guess
He
so.
wanted it to be a waste.
Like, imagine if Superman never came and like
Imagine if he'd saved all those weapons for Doomsday. It would have gone a lot faster.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to the party.
Honestly, that whole scene can just be skipped. It's literally worthless.
This is one of the worst, because then you also have a big scene of Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne facing for the first time, and
That is one of the most poorly written scenes I've ever seen.
You know what would be
It's one of the
great?
most forced scenes.
Oh god,
And it's just,
it's so on the nose. I mean, like literally when Lex comes in, it's like Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne, first time ever having a giant fight. That'd be a hit movie, wouldn't it? Like, ugh.
well, at the same time, that is his plan this whole time.
Yeah, and
It's so stupid.
But like, I would have loved, like the world's finest, the animated movie that was awesome. I would have loved if they had taken from that and where Bruce Wayne and Lois Lane had hooked up in the past, and then you had a little bit of tension there, and that's how they meet. And then you have these scenes of Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne talking and kind of measuring each other and like elements like that. But this is literally just, oh, you're an asshole, I'm an asshole too, and then later on we'll fight. Like, ugh.
Yeah,
And that's the only moment they're face to face until we get to the stupid "I'm gonna make you bleed" scene. That's it.
right, and yeah, it just doesn't really fit. It's literally just done just so that they're together, and then you have the thing with Lex not being able to talk on stage, and
Oh god.
then you have Batman doing a little bit of detective work with him having to go down and plug the thing into Lex's server and download the thing.
Again,
That was fine.
More spy, but fine.
True, but it's fine. That
Yeah.
was fine. It was very Batman-y, and then you
Yeah.
know him having to pretend to be drunk with the girl
Yeah.
and stuff. That's all very Bruce Wayne-ish and stuff.
Yeah.
That was
Of
fine.
course. And then you got the introduction of Wonder Woman, of Diana, though.
Yeah, again, which is, I mean, it was fine. With the, we can just talk about the Wonder Woman character too. It's like,
Sure.
to be honest, I thought it was fine. I was kind of pleasantly surprised with the character. I thought she did a better job than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be much worse than it was.
Sure.
But it still was what I was expecting, as in, it was not needed in even the slightest way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was done well, where like it didn't feel completely shoehorned, unlike when she shows up as Wonder Woman. But I agree. I mean, they were smart
so
making.
It's better just have her as Diana in those maybe few scenes, and then
Yeah.
not done Wonder Woman yet.
Yeah, I agree.
That
I
would
agree.
have made more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Because she was good as Diana. They definitely kept her speaking to a minimum, which is probably for the better.
Yeah.
But
At least in
but
that
yeah.
movie.
I have no problem really. I mean, she looked the part.
Yeah.
It was I don't know, it's fine.
But anyway, and then you have basically where Alfred's talking to Bruce Wayne in his earpiece, and Superman picks it up.
And I
And
guess.
then, oh no, he has to go then save the world. Then we have this really weird montage.
Oh God.
Okay, well basically the scene ends with Diana stealing the thing from Bruce and then taking off, and okay, that was the end of that. Well, then we have Superman, who then sees a problem like in Mexico or somewhere, and then there's this really creepy slow motion montage of him saving a bunch of people, looking really miserable while he's doing it.
Exactly. What does that tell you? Is that we finally see Superman doing Superman stuff, and you tell Zack Snyder's like, get to the fighting. Like, Superman's just miserable. It's like, I guess I'm gonna save these sailors. I'm gonna let these people worship me on their roof.
While people are talking bad about him on the news.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's saving people right now. Like,
and the music
to overlay with people talking bad about him.
Yeah. And the music is just like da-na, where it should be triumphant and him saving people and having a smile on his face. Here you go.
There is no triumphant Superman. There is no Superman theme, which is another whole thing. There's no Superman theme. There's no Superman like theme like all the other stuff. Like that's
which they would argue is out of place in this movie, but still, it's like the.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't.
It's out of place in this movie because the entire character's out of place in this movie.
Right.
The entire character's out of place as Superman.
But yeah, it's like not having that theme, like, because the theme is more than just, it's a nice musical piece. It's like when you hear that, Superman is coming to save the day.
Right.
But you never think that in these movies, where it's like, kill him, Superman, before he kills 1 million people. 1,000 people might die, so good enough.
Right.
Like,
right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But we have then there's that weird save montage. What's after that? I don't know. Again, I skip pretty much all the scenes. There's more scenes of them talking to.
I think.
Character.
Yeah. It's the scene where they mentioned the Granny's peach tea piss.
That happened. That was a terrible scene.
Maybe one of the worst.
The scenes are really all the exact same with him and her. It's pretty much the same thing every time. Her being like, "No, you can't do this," and then be like, "I'm gonna do it."
And then him having some smart analogy of how men shouldn't rely on God, and it's like, okay, just say you don't like Superman and be done.
Right. Anyway.
The painting was upside down. It was really cool. It was really. I mean, I thought that was a really cool visual. Like, oh my God, like, yeah, maybe hell is in the sky.
How clever.
Zack Snyder's full of it.
He really is. He's got 1 million of them. He'll be here all week. But and then we have the scene where basically Bruce tracks down Diana at that museum where they find out that it's they both know that the sword's not real and it's a fake and stuff. But that scene was fine. I thought that scene kind of it felt like an actual scene that would happen between them. I thought it was organic and it fit and it was well written. I thought that was one of the few well written scenes in the movie, more or less. And then she's like, I couldn't open it, so I basically am giving it back to you.
Right.
And that's really all it was. And then we have him
the crypt.
And we can talk about this for a minute. We have him start to decrypt the file, and then all of a sudden it's like, boop, dream. That's another problem. There's so many of those cuts in this movie where they literally just go complete black, and then it's totally different. It's so disorienting.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd rather.
Clearly, it's a dream, but it's just not enjoyable because you're just like, what? Oh, it's a dream.
You don't know a dream because a normal dream would be him at the computer and starting to fall asleep and his eyes closed, then to black. And this one, he's just like at the computer, black.
Right.
Like,
Right.
But
it's
even
like they don't want
that.
to be too obvious. But it's like, well, then what's the point? We all know it's a dream. Did you want us to not think it was a dream? He was sitting at a computer, and now he's like in this post-apocalyptic world.
In Mad Max.
It's a dream. So it's like if you're trying to be sneaky, like that defeats the purpose. And then we have Batman dressed in like desert gear with guns, going through and basically looking for kryptonite with these smugglers, whatever, getting kryptonite. And then it's not, they double cross him. All these soldiers are working for Superman. They kill all of the soldiers there, and then Batman kills at least half of the rest of the soldiers. Just flat out, just machine gunning people.
I mean, Batman is known for using a gun. I mean, it's not like he has any reason to be against guns. He likes them.
he's all for guns. It's
He
all
loves
about killing as many criminals as possible. You know,
He
getting
grew up
them
with
out.
guns. Yeah.
You know, it's a wonderful Frank Castle movie. But yeah, and then he's doing pretty well. You know, he's breaking a couple necks. He's killing a lot of them. And then all of a sudden, the parademons show up, and he has no chance for those. Which that was kind of cool to see parademons. But
Parademons look good, I thought.
yeah. But it just didn't matter. It's like, why are parademons here if this is Superman's doing? That they're from
why?
Darkseid. Why would
Why?
they be here right now? Like,
Because Justice League.
right. But Justice League, that villain's supposed to be Steppenwolf. Not even
No,
Darkseid.
but who knows Steppenwolf? No one. But who knows Darkseid? Fair enough, more people. Yeah.
Anyway, but
Cut to him.
that scene. The only thing that was kind of when I was watching it this time that I thought was kind of cool is at least he's dressed, and this whole scene feels a little bit like. Well, I guess it's kind of even more Injustice, but it feels a little bit to me kind of like Superman Red Son, which is a fantastic book by Martin Millar.
Yeah.
Elseworld, which basically, if you haven't read it, it's where Superman's rocket. I don't remember exactly what happened. But something happens and something shifts, and it basically flies over the United States and crashes in Russia instead, or in Ukraine, I think. I think it crashed in Ukraine. And he grows up on a farm in Ukraine, which becomes part of Soviet Union. So
Yeah.
basically, a Soviet-born Superman, and what would happen if he was just landed in a different place.
Yeah.
Which is very plausible and it's a fantastic book where he's basically the right-hand man for Stalin.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's part of this communist regime taking over the world. He's their secret weapon to world domination.
Yeah.
And then there's this resistance of people led by this Batman character, which dresses a lot like he kind of did in Nightfall a little bit. And there's a scene kind of like that. But it's probably more Injustice than that. But I kind of got a little bit of that.
I'd probably say because more people, I'm sure, they're like, more people know Injustice and that storyline.
I had a little bit of that, which I was like, well, that's kind of cool because I love that story. I think it's great because I'm not even a big Superman fan. So to see him as kind of a bad guy, I think is really cool.
Yeah, in a way that makes sense.
Millar's all about that because he wrote that entire, I think, called Invincible out of Image Comics, maybe. Out of a different comic, which is basically a Superman character if he was evil. Which is, I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, so basically it's kind of foreshadowing in a way, or we think it's foreshadowing in a way. And then you have basically Superman killing Batman, and then Bruce wakes up, and he's in the middle of another dream. And then here's Barry Allen, who's, you know, traveling through time, trying to warn Bruce, which I thought was really cool if that was done not in a dream.
Yeah.
Because the fact that it was done in a dream just makes it worthless.
And I'm sure later on,
actually waking up, and then it was that thing, and then it goes away, and he's like, "What the heck just happened?"
Yeah, but I'm sure later. I mean, no, because you're right, because it is a dream, because he wakes up from that. But yeah, I'm sure they'll argue that it wasn't a dream, and that after the Flash incident happened, because then we were playing the movies the whole time. Like, nah. But I know what you're saying.
But anyway, it was I mean, it's kind of cool seeing Flash doing the time travel thing.
Sure.
I thought that was fine, but it just didn't have much of a place to me in this movie or in that part.
No, and poor people who don't know anything about the comics, like my mother.
No idea what was going on.
My poor mother, who I saw this movie with, she just turned to me and goes, "What the hell happened?" And like normally it was stuff like with little Easter eggs, you can kind of tell them, "Oh, I know what that means. Darkseid is coming." But for this one, I literally had to go, "I can't. It was too much. Just forget about it." And like that's the problem with Easter eggs in this movie is that normal Easter eggs are in the background or they're quick, and then that whole issue with these two scenes that the movie stops dead for a whole unnecessary flashback or flash forward or whatever, and then the Barry Allen scene, and it's like, oh right, this is a Batman and Superman movie. Well, let's get back to that. Yeah. This is like a 10-minute, like a 5 to 10 minute span between the two.
Yeah, that was just a whole other thing. It's just not.
No. Just so we can have another cool action scene and Zack Snyder can show off his visuals again of the post-apocalyptic. I mean, which looks crazy, looks scary, but again, I don't know.
After that, we have basically he then sees the files and he sees Wonder Woman is, this picture from 1918 or whatever, whatever. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now they've introduced the character. If it had ended there, it would have been so much better. And then
finds out about the white Portuguese, and then
yeah. Right.
is that when he?
Right. That's
we
when
get-
then he's like, all right, now I'm gonna go and get it, and he loads up all the mags, all the ammo, and the
Guns and ammo, all he-
Yep, the
all he
rockets,
needs.
all the
He's got
stuff.
the sniper rifle on top of the crane. I mean, he shot a tracer around, but still, it's Batman holding a sniper rifle.
Well, he does use that in Dark Knight Returns too. And
I know.
at the
I'm
beginning with the graphic
Sure, that's where they got it from.
That's exactly where they got it from. They got literally anything that was remotely from the comic, they got from that comic, and just bastardized it. But so then we have them like making exchange or picking it up from the ship, and then all of a sudden, whoop, here's the Batmobile, and blam, runs right into a car, kills like 4 people. Then it grabs the car with a hook, drags it around the thing. If they weren't dead already, they're all dead. Then he throws it onto another car, killing another 4 people.
Yeah.
And then he starts shooting another. Then there's a guy on like a turret shooting him.
Yeah.
And then he shoots a rocket at him and blows him up.
Yeah, it goes through the car.
And then he blows up a few other cars. And then is bearing down. Then all of a sudden, here's Superman just standing there. These are criminals.
Again, I have a question.
Smuggling a
Yeah.
weapon that'll kill him.
Yeah.
He's like, I need to deal with Batman.
Exactly. There are no innocent people here to die, so I don't care about. Question I have that I thought about, going back to something we talked about. What city were they in when all this was happening? Were they in Gotham or Metropolis?
We don't know. What's the difference?
Exactly. I'm like, oh god, because then Superman shows up, because right before that, is when he went to the jail in the Ultimate Edition,
Oh yeah, that's right.
and he sees the chick with the baby, and you're like, oh shit, the Batman pretty
That
much
was the
they
guy
killed
who
this.
he. Oh yeah, because the guy he branded. Yeah, we can go back to that. Basically, the guy who he branded at the beginning was then killed in
prison. Yeah.
Which apparently has happened multiple times. He wasn't the first one. This has happened several times.
And Batman intentionally does it for that reason. Because also, when I saw the branding thing, I'm like, oh, he's like heating up one of his batarangs and branding people. No, he actually has
a stamp. That
Yeah.
Like brand.
You might as well be like, I also have these Batman anal beads that I use on people. Like, oh my god, I'm like, really? He took the time to make a little. Because it'd be great. Yeah, gotta charge it. But it'd be great, like, in the heat of the moment, he's pissed off, so he puts the battery in the fire, and then, but no, he's like, oh, let me get out my handy little brander, and here we go.
Right. We're going back to the Batman 66 movie, and I got my Bat brand. And,
Yeah. I'm like, almost pulled out the Bat credit card, let me keep that away. Like,
Right.
Bat brand.
oh, sorry, hang on, drop the shark repellent.
The utility belt is so, yeah.
Right. I gotta put the Bat shield in my utility belt.
God.
But no, that's a great show. But
Yeah.
And so it's basically another scene of, and then Clark is now still being a reporter, and now he's tracked down the wife of that guy and is now talking basically with her, and it's another good setup with kind of like the beginning scene with Batman setting up against Superman. It's setting up a legit complaint from Superman to Batman, which is still unfounded because of the amount of people that Superman has killed.
Right. But it's like, it's a little bit of motivation. Again, it's not for Superman, not enough for Superman to go, I'm going to rip his head off and stop him, but it's enough for him to be like,
something.
yeah, it's enough for him to be like, okay, this Batman may not be the good guy, may not be able to just, be allowed to do whatever he wants.
Right.
But then cut to, again, the first scene of Batman and Superman coming together, face to face, on the screen for the first time.
Yeah.
He's chasing criminals. Superman's like, forget about them. They only killed thousands of people. They're fine. And then, he bounces off off Superman and wrecks the Batmobile. Cool. Sure, yeah, because Superman's like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
Then they had, of course, the iconic shot, which was only for the trailer, where Batman stands up and they're face to face. And then we have the lines, to me, that make no fucking sense whatsoever in the dialogue that is only meant for a trailer, because literally, like, I think every trailer, every TV spot used part of that scene because it, it built up the hype.
Next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. The bat is dead. Bury it. Consider this mercy.
And he just goes, the next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. The bat is dead. Bury it. And then he says something that's totally wrong. He says something that's totally wrong. He says, consider this mercy. Implying that I was going to kill you right here. Yeah, it should be, if anything, as dumb as the scene is, if they did have to keep it, it should have been, consider this a warning. Saying, hey, I may come back and stop you. Not consider this mercy. Like, it just makes Superman look like a psychopath. Like, well, yeah.
He's a complete psychopath in this movie.
But it helps further, stamp that.
He's an egotistic psychopath who doesn't like when people don't like him.
He's completely out of touch with humanity. He's like, I don't get it. I just killed a bunch of people in Metropolis, and people aren't calling me a hero. Well, what do you think?
Guess I'll save this ship.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll like me now.
But yeah, so then we have this stupid scene where he consider this mercy, and then of course we have maybe the most memorable line from the movie,
Tell me. Do you bleed? You will.
Tell me, do you
Infamous line.
Tell me, do you bleed? I'm gonna slit your throat. And you're gonna bleed everywhere. Oh wait, I'm Batman. Oh shit.
Do you bleed? I will. Although at least he has a voice changer. I kind of like the voice changer. Some people didn't like it. I think that makes sense. People know Bruce Wayne's voice, and it's better than doing the terrible.
Sure, the
over the
hockey
top.
pad. Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
Didn't do in Batman Begins, but.
Now, I agree, it makes sense. I still don't like it because I just, I'm spoiled with Kevin Conroy. I just think of Kevin Conroy's voice. And, but again, it makes sense because, that was always my problem with Spider-Man, the first one. He's like, I was in the neighborhood and he has the exact same tone of voice where he says it's the Mary Jane in the costume and out of the costume.
He does have kind of the same tone of voice.
Yeah. But again, I like the idea of him changing his voice so he doesn't get found out. But it makes him sound like a robot, and then on top of the fact that he's saying stuff like "Tell me what you."
Yeah, the line is terrible.
Yeah, it makes him sound like Hannibal Lecter if he had cancer. Ugh.
Hannibal Lecter, but yeah, it kind of does. Although he would have probably said something more sophisticated.
Yeah, more clever.
Right.
But yeah. That's it, and then Superman just flies away, and that was our first, scene of them together for first time ever in 75 years.
Yeah, and then we kind of glossed over it. At some point, we in the Ultimate Edition we see Lois, which doesn't matter, and I hate that we have to mention it, but we see Lois she's again more of a detective than Batman. About this
I didn't think about that. Oh,
and, she's actually tracking this thing down, and then she's talking with someone who we have no idea who it is, and then it's like, oh, this is supposed to be Barbara Gordon.
Is it
the Pentagon?
Is it supposed to be?
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure that came out where that's supposed to be.
It makes sense because why else would you get a big star like Jenna Maloney for 2 scenes?
But why would she why would she work for the Pentagon?
Well, that makes no sense, Mark. But we have to unfortunately gloss over. That's not even the worst part. It's like, oh fuck.
So
yeah,
great. We have this random character. Why don't we even get to know who he is? It's like the Jimmy Olsen thing at the beginning. It's like,
I'm surprised someone just someone should have just killed her. Like, oh,
came to life and it's gone through her or something.
Yeah, same bullet just going around.
And basically, you find out that this is not an existing metal. They don't know what it is, whatever. It's probably a prototype type thing. So then it just basically just gives her some random screen time to fill.
Yeah, and it also helps answer the question of how Superman isn't able to see the bomb later on in the wheelchair.
Right.
Which, again, good job on them for telling us why or, explaining that. But again...
Only in the Ultimate Edition.
Only in the Ultimate Edition, but also for it, again, not to matter. The whole Congress storyline doesn't matter. Because it blows up, it's horrifying. You're like, holy shit, Congress getting blown up. And then they just go, oh, it was a guy in a wheelchair.
Yeah, but then they're still all like, oh, Superman must have been involved. Like, even they're still
barely
later.
Yeah, he might have been an accomplice, but again, but by that point, it's like 45 minutes are left in the movie, and it's time to get to the fight in Doomsday, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Then we get to see one of the potential coolest scenes that should have been included in the Ultimate Edition and was not, is Batman actually taking the kryptonite from Lex Luthor's place.
God, yeah.
That would have been cool, and no, just completely off screen.
Fuck yeah, it would have been awesome. How about cut the
He
night?
probably would have killed them all, but at least, you know, it might have looked cool, but no, off screen. Off screen. We get to see Lex pushing a Jolly Rancher in a senator's mouth, but we don't get to see Batman stealing the kryptonite.
Yeah, which is totally Batman. Like, you know, breaking in somewhere, incapacitating the guards, and taking the weapon. But no, let's have the Duster fight in the Mad Max world. They'll cut out the actual Batman.
That's the most disappointing of that movie too. But,
yeah.
And so anyway, so then he now has a kryptonite. Then we have this weird scene of him basically making the kryptonite and doing CrossFit.
Oh God, the CrossFit. My mom during that scene where he's working out and he's like, ah. My mom was like, this is like a dick measuring contest. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
So,
I mean, it's like I get it in a kind of a way, but it's like it was better in the like, you know. I do think there's not enough showing Batman actually like doing stuff to stay in shape.
Yeah.
But I feel like they got that right in the animated series. If you watch the animated series, random times when he's just somewhere, you just see him doing push-ups or something, like push-ups and stuff.
pull-ups. But like, he's like, oh God, he's like, you know,
like
doing
while something else is going on. This is like the Rocky training montage where he's like preparing for the fight because he's preparing for the fight.
Absolutely.
Like, that's not Batman. Batman doesn't have to prepare for the fight.
Yeah.
He's already ready for everything.
Yeah, it's just dumb, like, chest beating. I mean, like, literally, he throws on the weights and he screams like, ah, like, and, like, you know, he's doing dumb CrossFit stuff, like the tire flips and like.
And we also forgot, right before he goes to steal the kryptonite, that's the scene with Alfred, where there's even a 1% chance that he could be against it. That means we have to take it as an absolute certainty and kill him.
I'm sorry, but the way he delivers that line is
so
ham sandwich.
It's bad.
Like,
that's the worst acting of the whole movie. Is that scene? It's just.
And I think we're the only ones who think that, because I also see people like, that was a great scene. The way he talked, like, that writing was. There's even a 1% chance we have to. Like,
I don't buy it at all. I'm like, it's Ben Affleck talking.
Yeah.
I know. To me, I felt that most of the movie.
Yeah, that's my problem with Ben Affleck. I don't like Ben Affleck, period, so it's very hard for me. But that's why, thank God, the costume looks so good, is that you almost forget it's Ben Affleck.
And then we find out that Alfred's not an idiot, unlike Bruce Wayne, and knows that he was lying to him and all this stuff. And then that's where Alfred's like, so you're going to destroy this, right? Because it's, you know, a weapon and all this. And it's like, nope, I'm going to use it to kill him. And it's like,
I want to kill him and kill his family, too. So there's never... Yeah.
It's pretty dumb. And then he goes and does that whole thing. Well, anyway, he has the kryptonite, makes the weapons. Then we have Lexus doing the whole Zod thing, gets the body. And then all he needs to do is just put the fingerprints on the wall. And all of a sudden, nope, it'll do whatever he wants. And then it goes, all right, I need you to make this creature. And it's like, that goes against everything we are. We don't do that.
Yeah.
We'll do it anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
That's literally what it did.
I totally forgot about that whole sequence because it is so poorly.
All he does is drop the corpse of Zod into this orange amber goo, and then puts his blood on him, and then poof. Yeah. Doomsday.
It's like, oh, you gave Zod AIDS. You didn't create Doomsday. Like, I forget how. Oh God. Yeah, he takes like the fingerprints off, and then he uses a finger, which is great because he uses a fingerprint.
He already brought the body. Why didn't he just put the hand on it?
Why didn't they just skip that whole thing? Who cares? Whatever. He just goes into the goo. Like, oh, yeah. I forget how awful. Like, even in comic book logic, like comic book movie logic,
Anyway, but yeah. So he's doing that whole thing, and then we have him after Batman making the kryptonite weapons. We then see Lex Luthor's people with the Russian guy kidnap Martha Kent. Then we see them capturing and bringing Lois Lane up to Lex Luthor, and this is where we find out Lex Luthor's plan. But we still don't know what Lex Luthor's plan really was. And somewhere in there also is when Bruce Wayne gets all the like checks that he had sent out to people, like the families or whatever, from like the Metropolis thing, and they'd all get like intercepted and sent back to him. That was earlier in the movie.
Yeah, again, that didn't make any sense because it was supposed to motivate Batman or Bruce Wayne because he's reading that, but he doesn't get it until the very end when right before Congress blows up. Like,
Right.
yeah,
And then there's the scene with man, we skipped a lot. And then there's the scene when Congress blows up with the guy in the wheelchair because Lex goes to him and is like, "Here, we can take down Superman if you do this stuff." And it's like, all right. And then Superman comes in, and I did kind of like that scene of him walking through the Congress building to get there.
Yeah, it could have been really
That
cool.
was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then he's standing there, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, okay, it blows up, and then that whole thing. We glossed over
Not
that earlier.
not all of a sudden, Mark, because remember, there's a very eerie tone, and Senator looks on her desk, and she reaches, and she slowly turns around a jar of what could be anything. Oh, and Lex Luthor pissed in a jar, and of all like the metaphors to actually go through with in a movie like this, like the oh,
Yeah.
I can't even fathom how stupid that is.
Anyway.
Believe me.
Anyway,
Go on.
later we have he brought in Lois Lane is up on the thing with Lex, and then he tells her his stupid plan. Then blah blah pushes her off the thing. Oh, here comes Superman to rescue her. That's fine. And then he tells Superman that he has his mom, and he needs to go kill Batman because reasons. And although I did kind of like that because it was like, okay, we are finally seeing where Superman's like friends or family are being the target of something, because that's the whole point of Superman. He's all powerful, but his weakness is the people he cares about are always the targets of stuff.
Mulligan on Jimmy Olsen, but we'll move on to Martha.
Right.
Martha Kent.
But I did like that it was Martha Kent being taken, and it is a motivation of some kind for Superman, and that's the type of motivation that character needs.
I agree. The problem is that once his mom has been kidnapped and he knows that he has to go fight, or at least, has to, worst case scenario, fight Batman, the problem is that it makes you sympathetic towards Superman because he needs to get his mother back, and it makes Batman just look like a dumb bully because like the whole time he's beating the shit out of Superman, and it's like, he needs his mother back, and Batman's like, I don't get, like, you know what I mean? It makes the whole fight.
Well, we're getting to that.
Yeah.
And so basically, he's like, you have to kill Batman. So Batman's in his, the exosuit waiting on him, and then we can discuss the Superman appearing to Batman.
Well, first of all, he shines the light in the sky, which is on some random building. I guess it's not on the police department
Remember,
headquarters.
it's in a nice abandoned area where nobody is.
Oh yes. No, it's uninhabited. Yeah. Oh god, yeah. But yeah, so I guess Batman knows it's gonna be tonight, even though Batman doesn't realize that, because before that, Superman went into hiding after Congress blew up, and we had the whole pointless.
Nope, don't even mention it.
Okay.
Don't.
But Superman was in hiding, and so Batman doesn't realize that shine light in the sky is going to call him, because the only thing that calls Superman over there is Lex telling him go fight Batman. But yeah, anyway, so we get to the big final moment, the one we've been waiting for, right?
Yeah, the title of the movie. And we have Superman being like, look, my, this has been taken, you have to let He's trying to talk to the guy.
So stupid how dumb that is.
Remember, 1% chance.
Yeah.
And so Batman has these weird sonic things or whatever, and then Superman gets rid of those. He's like, ow. And then
he's like, what are you doing?
And then he shoots him with machine guns, and he's like,
really?
And then we have Superman start to beat the crap out of him, like he's would.
Yeah.
And
they fly through the building, and then they land on the roof.
Right. And then we have, and he's still trying to talk to him.
Yeah.
And then we have the thing, just stay down. If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead already.
Stay down! If I wanted it, you'd be dead already.
Makes sense. It's like,
Okay.
Superman, if he wanted to kill him, he would kill him, but he doesn't, because Superman's a good guy, supposedly.
Well, and now I guess. Only if it's another superhero. Not if
Yeah,
it's normal
and-
people.
Yeah.
But he'll kill the normal people all he wants. But if it's another
Don't matter.
superhero, that's good. Remember, they're buddies.
Oh yes, we'll get to that.
And so then Batman shoots, I guess, some sort of gas bomb that he's
vaporized kryptonite bomb.
Which is fine. That's cool. That's what he would do.
Makes sense.
And Superman catches it because his reflexes, and then
Hey,
it's
buddy.
like, oh no, boom. It's very Green Arrow-ish.
Yeah.
And that's just a staple in a lot of Batman stuff with him throwing the explosive batarangs and stuff, with being like, you missed. It's like, oh, did I? Boom. That kind of thing. And then he starts beating the balls out of Superman, which is fine. Whatever. The whole fight's whatever. I mean, it's not a bad fight, but it's just.
But again, you feel.
Cares?
But again, you feel bad.
Care about what's happening because you don't care about Batman. You don't care about Superman. You have no idea really why they're fighting, and there's nothing built up. There's no connection to anything going on. So you don't have that emotional impact that you're supposed to have in a fight like this.
Yeah.
So they fight, and it's a good fight. I'll give them that. Of course, the entire fight's CGI, but
I mean, there are a lot of cool scenes. The scene where the dust wears off and Batman's punching, and all of a sudden it's punch. Like, that was great.
That was cool.
But then you also have scenes where
grabs him and just throws him through the wall.
But then you also have scenes where he grabs like a toilet and
he grabs
hits
literally a sink.
Oh, a kitchen sink,
He
everything.
literally hit him with everything and the kitchen sink.
Should have hit him with like a poster for the movie. That would have been really meta if like Deadpool came in with a poster for the movie. It's like, ah!
That would have been.
But
anyway, so the fight's fine, and then he hits him with another one of those kryptonite vapor things, and
is that when he he hooks him on?
Then he knocks him out. He knocks him out, I think, with the sink, which is stupid. But and then he grabs him, throws him off the railing, and then he
goes down.
Yeah, goes down, hooks his leg with the rope, and drags him over to where he had put the spear earlier, where he dropped the spear earlier. Why didn't he just have it with him at the beginning? But nope. He knew he was gonna fight him to this exact spot.
I mean, that's one of the least of the problems.
Right. It really is. And then he grabs a spear, turns Superman over, and I was sitting there going like, okay, this is pretty cool. I'm like, this is cool. We're gonna have the line, "Remember who beat you." We're gonna have that. Where it's gonna be awesome. And I didn't really care. The fight happened and it's dumb, but the fight was pretty good. And Batman beat him, and he cuts his face, and he's gonna say something like, that'll be to remind you who beat you, and this whole thing, just like in the book, that might have been a cool part from Dark Knight. No, he's literally just gonna stab him, and then we have the probably the most genius writing of the entire movie.
You're letting him kill Martha.
What does that mean? Why did you say that name?
Find him. Save Martha.
Who would have saw this coming?
Honestly, I don't have any problem.
They didn't mention Martha 1,000 times throughout the movie. I swear, from the very beginning, the very opening shot of the death of the parents, when Thomas Wayne says Martha and then dies, I was like, oh, I guess they'll do the thing because their parents' names are the same. I guess that'll be a thing later. It
never occurred to me, but yeah, now it makes so much.
As soon as it started and I saw him say Martha, I was like, why would he just whisper Martha? I was like, I guess since their names are the same, I guess they'll do something with that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that there. And then sure enough.
Which, in theory, like him...
Superman would not even have said Martha. He would have said Mom.
What would have worked is if Superman just went, you can kill me, just save my mother.
Right.
And then Bruce Wayne is like, holy shit. Like,
you could snap out of that with that.
You could also have the cliche of him looking in the water and seeing his reflection be like, oh shit, I'm a fucking murderer. That would make sense.
Make more sense.
But no, again,
they go
in theory...
But the problem is, they see fans as so stupid that they wouldn't get that. But yet and they didn't even think that we'd get that their names are the same. So they'd show us the gravestone with the name. And all this stuff. It's like they have such a low view of the
Absolutely.
fans viewing.
Yeah.
That it's just like
it's basically the mindset of you don't care how it happens. You just know these characters are gonna be friends.
That's exactly what Zack Snyder thinks.
Yeah, because
That's what he
Zack
does all the time. He's
Snyder
like,
hates nerds. He hates fans. Ugh, God, I don't even want to talk about his quotes about Batman.
yeah.
Don't even get me started.
But anyway, so then it's like, oh, sorry about that. Oh yeah, and then Lois comes for no reason. And,
Well, now because she's the one who goes, you know, it's his mother's name, you know.
And then Batman's like, oh, okay, all right, I'll go get her. You go to Lex Luthor and break. And then that's it. And it's literally, that is it. And it's done. And they're best of friends now. And then,
because literally he says friend later on, and that to me is like, no one just, you know, like when they read through the script, you know, when they do like sit around the table and read through the script, you know, just like so everyone can rehearse or whatever. Like no one went, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't have him use a friend word if literally 2 minutes later Batman was about to impale him. Like no one caught that. Like I get it, you know, maybe they're not best friends. Let's go to a you know, little phone booth and take pictures. But it's like when you have that word, I'm a friend of your son. Never mind the fact that I was about to kill him.
we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But anyways, then he goes to save.
But he goes,
and
and Superman goes to
stop
confront Lex.
And so then we have probably one of the other best scenes in the movie.
Sure. I have my problems with it, but yeah.
Yes. But we have Batman in the you know the Batwing flying to wherever Martha is because he just knows.
Yeah, I forget. How again did they find Martha?
I honestly don't. Was there, or did they even say what it was?
Did he track the Russian guy's phone?
Maybe.
Was that?
Maybe. It might have been something. It might have been. But anyway, it doesn't matter. And he gets to the thing. They hear him, and so they're all ready. And then all of a sudden, he just comes up through the floor, which is awesome.
Awesome.
And just starts brutally taking
Wrecking
all
shot.
of them out, which is I mean, he's snapping arms. He's, you know, giving who knows how many concussions, just destroying people. And I think he killed at least a couple.
He killed it, and I want to talk about that because, of course, the biggest complaint I have with Batman in this movie is that he just flat out kills people. Right. And people bring up that argument that in other movies Batman is killed, and that's true.
Right, but it's not blatant.
It's not blatant, exactly. And like even in the scene we're talking about right now, the warehouse, there's a scene where the guys are in the elevator. The one guy has a grenade. Batman hits him, and the grenade goes in the elevator. Batman is going to risk his life, jump in there.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
But when he takes the knife, and I don't think he kills him. I think he stabs him. But when he does stuff like that, or no, he grapples a box, throws a box, and that guy just.
He drops. He's dead.
Yeah, exactly. There's no argumenting. No. And again, going back to the car chase, where he's just like, oh, they might be. Oh, nope. No. Like again, the blatant showing and thinking that's okay. Like, oh, you have a problem with this?
But for the most part, the scene was awesome. It's badass.
Although, shit. I gotta talk about what I don't like about the scene though. Is awesome how we finally see that he can properly kick ass. But I hate how the fighting style has changed. Where, like, especially in the Arkham games, because that's all I hear is that this was like just out of one of the Arkham games in terms of the fighting. In the Arkham games, it really, makes it a point that you have to worry about gunfire, which Batman does. He has to worry about gunfire because it's not bulletproof. He's in the middle of like. Kind of, but even in Dark Knight, they talk about ricochet. You just can't take a direct shot. Okay, makes sense. He's not wearing armor like Iron Man.
Right.
But in this one, he's really in the middle of like 5 guys. They're stabbing him in the head.
They're shooting him in the head.
They're shooting him in the head. He's like, ow, fuck, It's just like, and I mean that's what really my own gripe. Again, it's cool as shit, but it's like,
I can let some of that stuff go though.
I can too. And at the end of the day, that if that was like one of the only issues of this movie, I could totally swallow it. Sure. But yeah, I had to put that out there.
Anyway, so he takes all those guys out. Then there's the Russian and another guy in the room with Mark. And then we have the entire scene from The Dark Knight Returns where he comes through the wall, grabs him, points the gun at the guy, which is all fine. I just wish they wouldn't use stuff from a great book in this crappy movie. But the scene is fine. It's cool. He goes to the wall, grabs the guy, and then he's like, put it down or I'll kill her. And then they do the whole thing, believe me, I'll do it, and I believe you, and then, he shoots the thing. And
I have a problem with that, just being that is, again, 2 more people that Batman kills. He does save Martha. Alternative, how about this? So the guy has a flamethrower. Alfred is still piloting the X-Wing. It was in thermal vision. How about Alfred, or sorry, shit, Batwing. Think about Apocalypse. I don't want to do that. He's still in the Batwing, and he sees the thermal. He sees a flamethrower, and Batman has a gun. And how about this? How about Batman throws the gun at the guy, it knocks him out. He goes and jumps on top of Martha. Alfred, using the Batwing, shoots the flamethrower and then blows it up. And that way, Batman isn't just like I would like that a little bit more because then again, it's 2 less people. But again, it's right out of the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, and there is a big argument in the Dark Knight Returns whether he flat out shoots the guy or not.
Well, I mean, he shot the flamethrower obviously, but he still kills him.
I'm just talking about in the book.
Oh yeah.
There's a debate whether he just flat out shot the guy or not because you can't really tell.
All right.
Anyway, so I mean.
But then we have the scene where he saves her, and it's like, oh, Batman's saving someone. That is nice to see again. But then we get the whole.
A friend of your son.
A friend of your son.
What? You just tried to kill him 15 minutes ago.
Not even.
Right.
But I mean, but also like what was weird about that scene is like, I can honestly remember when that line happened. I'm like, when was the last time we had a joke in this movie? And I'm trying to think. I think it was literally when Perry White was like, oh, there's crime in Gotham. Other news, water is wet. Like it just felt so weird. It's like laughter. I remember that.
Yeah, but
like
there's not supposed to be laughter there.
No.
That's not a place for it.
Exactly. But I thought that was weird when that happened.
Anyway, and then we have Superman going to Lex, and it's Doomsday, and here, and attack, and it's him fighting a Ninja Turtle looking Doomsday, an orc Ninja Turtle looking thing.
One thing I have to call out people for, remember that when that trailer came out, you and I were freaking out because this is an awful trailer. The one before that, the Comic-Con, was a good trailer. It was really good, and that one was terrible. And I remember, the biggest complaint everyone had was it looks like the cave troll from Lord of the Rings. It looks like a Ninja Turtle. And I remember the complaint being, well, he only looks like that because this is how he is originally, but every time he gets hit, he's going to grow more and more. He doesn't. He just does.
He does a little bit.
Yeah, but he doesn't nearly have the horns and look as badass as he does in the comic. And I'm like, if all thing like Zack Snyder does well, making something look badass, he has no problem with that. But all of a sudden, that was the one place where they went half-assed is the design of Doomsday. Really? Of all things,
Yeah,
I don't know.
But anyway, and the whole fight was just way too long. It was all CGI. And so it's just, to me, that just isn't that interesting. Some people like it, but to me, I just don't really enjoy it. It goes back, and I never have. It goes back to me watching Power Rangers as a kid. I liked watching them fight.
Yeah, I hated when they got.
Once they got into Zords, I was like,
I agree.
I just didn't really care. I like actual fighting. I like hand-to-hand combat fighting, which obviously you have some of these bigger characters, you can't quite do it that way. But you can still do it without just this. And since when did Doomsday just blast things out of his mouth and eyes? And
I don't know, but
just shoot electricity off everywhere. And it's I didn't even know what was going on half the time.
Oh, God, yeah. And by that point, I was so, I just needed to pee. I was so checked out. I just wanted to end. And it's sad because, again, and now we have, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman on screen. And Wonder Woman, for first time ever, which should be exciting, but it wasn't because, when she drops down and the music starts playing, it's so out of place. Because the rest of the music was pretty, it was kind of like Man of Steel, but a little bit different.
I hated the music. Throughout the whole movie, I didn't like it.
It's sad because
really weird sounding, and I wasn't a fan.
Well, it was sad because it was Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL, and Junkie XL was, I think he used to be a DJ or something. And Hans Zimmer is great. Hans Zimmer did.
Junkie XL nailed Deadpool.
Yeah. And he nailed the 300 sequel. He was really good for that one. I don't know if you ever saw it anyway. But yeah, so it just felt the music felt so weird. I know it's Wonder Woman's theme because they used it in her trailer. But when that scene happened, it was da-na-na-na-na-na-na. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, okay, we'll get to that in just a second. Okay, so with the fight, Superman is fighting Doomsday, takes him up to space, they nuke him.
Oh,
and here we go again, another scene that's ruined from Dark Knight Returns. And that was done. And then Doomsday. Oh, Doomsday is fine. Crap, we killed Superman, and now Doomsday is here. And then Batman's trying to fight Doomsday.
Yeah, which is funny because I mean that's what would happen.
Okay, and then this is my favorite line of the entire movie. All right, Batman is flying in the plane trying to distract Doomsday or whatever. He's like, "It's Kryptonian. Only Kryptonian weapons can use on the spear. We gotta use the spear." And he says, "I gotta get it to chase me back to Gotham, back to the spear." It's like, why would you just fly over to the spear, pick it up, and come back? Wouldn't that be so much easier? He's on an island, like Doomsday's stuck on an island with nothing around him. Why would you have to take him to the city to get a spear? That is the dumbest line of the entire movie.
Because
then Batman.
Because then you can't have Lois, try to get the spear and then get trapped.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm getting to that.
Oh shit.
And so anyway, that's to me the single dumbest line of the entire movie. I gotta get it to chase me back to the spear. Anyway, and so.
But that part of Gotham was abandoned, Mark. So it's okay.
Right, but he's on an island. What more?
And the island was uninhabited too.
Of course, they let us know. But so anyway, so he's doing that, and then they show Superman all shriveled and stuff, kind of like the Thing, and they do the absolute badass shot of him reviving, and then him just opening his eyes, thing.
Yeah.
That scene is straight from Superman Earth 1.
Yeah.
That comic book, and that is a badass scene of him
Awesome.
just with the sun,
Yeah,
healing
sure.
him, and then him just like the fire eyes, and him just shooting back down was awesome.
Which they never talk about in Man of Steel or this one is the fact that the sun heals him. They never mention.
He gets all his power from the sun. But that was an awesome shot. And again,
Yeah.
I'm trying to give credit to certain things that were cool in this movie, and that was
course.
great. I loved the look of that. I thought it was awesome.
Although I just hated when they're talking about to use the nuke, and like when they finally decide to use it, the president on the phone is like, "May God help us." I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Of course. Here's another cliched line.
Which was actually, I found out the voice of that was actually Patrick Wilson from Watchmen.
Huh? Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. But anyway, so then Batman's trying to survive with Doomsday. He gets shot down, and then he has. That was a great moment. That really was. That was a great moment. He's shot down.
Shit.
He just and he's just stand there, and he's like, well.
Yeah, I think Ben Affleck ad-libbed that.
He did, yeah, apparently that's what I've heard that he did, and that was
Which, of
really
course.
good. And then Wonder Woman stops down and saved him. And I know you talk about the music and everything, and to me, I agree that the music's out of place and stuff, but I thought the music in that moment was kind of cool. I thought that was a cool shot of her just sitting there, her head coming up, and then I felt like that music fit that moment, but then they kind of kept the music going on, and then it kind of felt weird. If it was just like that beat, that would have been I thought that was cool. And then Superman came back, and then you had them all fighting, and then I didn't really care again, and it was just like, blah, blah.
I mean, because
they're
just
fighting. Oh, they can't get it. Oh, they did. Oh, she's a badass and doing this, and it's like, okay, it's cool, but I don't really care.
It's
and
just
it went on too long, and then they have Batman doing his little thing, getting shot at and dodging it, and that was, it's fine. And then you had her cutting the hand off, which was cool. And then all of a sudden you have Lois, who's just standing there, and it's like, you know what? I think this spear might be helpful. She has no idea. She doesn't know about the Kryptonians. She doesn't know that thing's Kryptonian. She doesn't know. She threw the spear away because it was going to hurt Superman, and now for no reason, she thinks they might need it. Literally, there's no reason for her to think that spear will be helpful.
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
no reason for her to think that.
So many people have brought up how retarded that scene is with her. That it's already been said a million times.
Like, oh, she goes down to get. Oh, now she's trapped. Okay, then Superman comes down. He saves her, and then and this is another moment, just like in the fight with Superman and Batman, where at the end I was like, oh, this is gonna be cool. He's gonna say the line. I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. They're gonna get the spear. Superman won't be able to do it, so Batman's gonna have to do it, and that was gonna be awesome. And he's gonna be the one to do it. He couldn't really fight this thing, but he can be the one to kill it because he's the one that can use the spear. I was like, this is gonna be awesome. No, Superman goes and gets it. He can't even swim up with it. he's literally, she has to help him out of the water, and then he's sitting there with it, and then, but then the next shot, he's now flying full speed with that thing, and you're like, wait a minute, he couldn't even get out of the water because he was around it, and now he's flying full speed. Oh, I just feel like they, and I know because they were doing the Death of Superman thing, but that would have been so much cooler if you had Batman be the one to do that.
Or Wonder Woman, anybody.
Yeah. Although, I think it would have had to have been Batman, because they're both the ones who can fight this thing. He can't, but he can kill it, because he's the one who can handle the spear, because Superman can't. It's like, that would have been so cool, and then, no, we didn't get that. We got a ridiculous Superman flying with it, and then stabs him, and then, after Wonder Woman cut off the hand, he grows a spike for some reason, and then, he stabs him, and then, okay, he's dead, Superman's dead. That music was terrible.
Yeah, that was like operatic.
Yes,
How like Phantom of the Opera is so over the top. Like I remember that. I thought I was the only one who picked up on how over the top
the music in that shot was awful.
Ugh.
And then he dies, and you're like, wow, they did the Death Superman too. They literally wasted every cool DC storyline in this one terrible movie.
I mean, yeah, that's the biggest
and
problem.
This is literally the second movie. The next movie is Justice League, and you're going to kill Superman.
Yeah.
All right.
And also, like, the problem with that is, of course, the movie ends with a funeral.
And
Which
then,
is,
we have Lois come over and crying, whatever, of course.
Oh,
and,
something they had mentioned where she was in his bedroom, and I think
Then
Martha.
it cuts to, yep.
I think Martha Kent brings her the wedding ring. And it's like, where did you ever mention that he was thinking about marrying her? Never. They had the back. Yeah. Like I was about to get stabbed. Will you marry her? Oh. Again, I was like, that's another theme you never even went into. Like, literally, the only scenes they had together is when he gets in the bathtub with her, and then later on in the balcony at her apartment where he flies away, and then that, and it's like, he was gonna marry you. I'm like, I never got that, but okay, I guess more sad.
Yeah, it was, and then they had that whole thing, whatever, the funeral. I mean, whatever. It was a cool funeral scene. I just would, again, a wasted good shot but nobody cares, because we're like, one, this is the second movie and you killed Superman already. Two, we know Justice League is next.
Exactly.
So like,
we know he's not dead.
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't care at all.
Which, I mean, I think about how great it would be if, like, one, to add to the cool shot, you had the Justice League at his funeral, which would be awesome. And
which they were, but not
in
this one, though.
And the possibility that the movie doesn't just flat out tell you, oh, don't worry, he's coming back. You kind of know, shit. I mean, obviously, we all know he would in any movie, pretty much, unless it was, like, the very last movie ever. But again, they completely make it devoid, just void it for any reason by just showing at the end the dirt starting to rise from the coffin. It's like, why? Why even?
Then we get the scene at the funeral. We have Bruce Wayne there. We have Diana there, and it's like, okay, so clearly all these people now know his secret identity. I'm gonna get into that in just a second. And so it's like, all right, and then it's Bruce Wayne talking with Diana, and it's like, there's more people. Oh yeah, 'cause we didn't even talk about the email.
Oh shit.
Other than Lex Luthor, that might be the worst part of the movie. Because it's like,
That's up there.
in the middle of the rising action of the Doomsday thing,
yeah,
and of the fight with Superman and everything, all of a sudden we cut to a scene of Wonder Woman just sitting there, and it's like, email from Bruce Wayne. What were you doing? With the picture of the whatever.
WTF.
Yeah. I think it does. It actually say that?
No, they could never.
That would be funny if it did. But anyway,
it
wouldn't surprise me. Zack Snyder. But
yeah.
And
well, Zack Snyder does like humor.
Right. But then we get an email attachment with logos and everything of all the Justice League, and then Wonder Woman's like, "Ooh, let's look at these," and it's like, here's Flash with a terrible goatee and long hair, who's just sitting in a convenience store.
But
and then stops him, and okay, whatever.
But that
He
reveal
wouldn't even be seen on the camera, so that's stupid. And then it's like, oh, now here's Aquaman, who's now.
Don't even get me started on the Aquaman.
Just
how
sits
awkward.
there looking at this camera, like, wow, it's a camera, like an animal who's like.
For 30 seconds. And like that makes me, and let me kind of go off that. That makes me kind of worry about the Aquaman movie, because obviously in that little clip, you can tell Jason Momoa is underwater because he's very clearly holding his breath, and you can tell like his eyes.
Yeah.
So it just makes it more awkward. It's like, how are they gonna do it? Like, I'm sure it'll all just be CGI, but like it just, yeah. But it was so awkward. Just what. Like, how about this?
Yeah.
How about have an underwater probe that's going around? All of a sudden, the probe spazzes, it breaks. Oh, rewind frame by frame by frame, and then you just see fucking.
Yeah.
And no, you have.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. Oh, it was so awkward.
Anyway, and then we get the next one with the making of Cyborg and then whatever.
I've
And then
never cared
that's
about.
literally just shoehorned in the middle of the rising action of the movie. It's just like, wait,
Yeah.
hold on, pause. Let's watch this email. Okay, continue. And then we have Wonder Woman literally while the world's going to freaking hell, she's just getting on a plane. It's like, no, I'm not gonna bother. And then it's getting worse. No, not gonna bother. Then it's getting worse. Okay, I should probably do something. And then that's the whole thing. Anyway, back to the end. We have him talking to her, and it's like, there's more people out here. We got to go find them. And then she's like, kind of like, why? And he's like, I have a feeling. And that's it. That is as far as that conversation goes. Wonderful writing right there. And then we have, everyone leaves, and then the dirt, 2 pieces of dirt come up, and then that's the end of the movie. And I don't even know why they did that, but because we all know he's not dead anyway. And then
Because no, you know why they do it? Because again, they think we're stupid.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, don't worry, kids. He's coming back, even though you kids have already left the theater or are terrified out of your mind.
So anyway, then that's the end of the movie, and we got the train wreck that was Batman vs Superman. And I'm telling you, I think that we're gonna look back on this movie in 10 years as we look back at Batman and Robin right now. Like, I really do think we're gonna look at Lex Luthor and stuff, and we're gonna look back at this movie just like that.
We already are.
Well, okay, that's one more scene. The scene in jail, when Lex is in jail, and then
Ugh.
Batman shows up, and that was an awesome opening to that scene because that felt like Batman. The police are cooperating with him. He's gonna go to into the prison, and that was awesome. The lights go out. It's just the one red light, and he's just sitting there, and he's like, wherever you go, I'm watching you. I'm following. You're not getting anywhere. And then he does the whole thing where not even fit to stand trial. No, because he knows he's Bruce Wayne. Because everybody knows he's Bruce Wayne, and which that is a thing with every Batman movie, which just drives me nuts.
Every superhero
Every
movie
single
too.
Batman movie, everybody knows. The only one that they do that in any superhero movie is in the first Spider-Man movie. It's the only place they get that right.
I agree.
And
as cool as that scene is, you get
and then he does the whole thing where I know who you are, but it doesn't even matter because everyone thinks I'm insane. Because I'm insane. I can't even stand trial and all this stuff. And he's like,
right.
Well, that's great because I'm gonna have you move to Arkham.
That's right. We have hospitals to treat the mentally ill with compassion. But that's not where you're going. I arranged for you to get transferred to Arkham Asylum in Gotham. I still have some friends there. They're expecting you.
Because he has that line where, we have places that can treat that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But we also have this other one called Arkham, which is where I've arranged to get you taken. And you can see the change in Lex Luthor's face where he's like, oh.
Yeah, that was good. I'll give him that.
That was awesome. And then we get to see the bat stamp. And
trademark.
he doesn't even brand him. He punches the wall and
Which
leaves.
Which they will argue is some type of arc for his character, where now I'm sure they'll be like, well, now he doesn't kill people because they've already kind of admitted it. But again, as cool as that scene is, it is completely ruined by snot dribbly Lex Luthor going ding ding ding. Like, could we have thought of any better type of catchphrase than ding 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 ding? The bell has been like, oh,
See, that's setting up Steppenwolf or Darkseid or wherever they're using.
Both, probably.
Whatever. But anyway, so that's the movie. A disaster, disaster of a movie. A couple of good visuals, a couple of good scenes, but overall, just the story, plot, muddled, makes no sense, bad editing. Bad characters, just.
And that's why critics don't like it. It's because critics don't go into it just going, okay, I want to see Batman. I want to see. They analyze it as a movie, and it's not a good movie.
Aside from getting characters wrong or anything. It's just not a well-made movie. It's not
No.
well written. It's not
No.
well acted. It's not well edited. Nothing about it is well done.
No.
And I think one thing I want to talk about with the Batman killing type people, they could have solved that, and we've talked about this too. They could have solved that with one scene.
Mhm.
All they needed to do was do it because they did the scene of him looking at the Robin suit. So obviously, Jason Todd has been killed by the Joker already, and so all they had to do to justify Batman killing all this is have one scene where Alfred is like, and I'm not exactly sure how to word it, but where he's like, ever since Master Jason died, you've gone out of control, and this needs to stop. One scene like that, and it would have solved all of it.
Yeah.
It literally would have solved all of it. It would have given a reason. It would have, even though the whole Batman still doesn't, it would have given a reason, because he does do that in the comics. He doesn't kill people, but he does go off the deep end.
Yeah, and it makes
after
sense.
that happens.
And again, and that's the problem with introducing Batman in this movie without any type of, obviously we don't want to see another origin, but doing it how they did it, where they brought him in this movie where he's existed for years, and we see him be as brutal as we've ever seen him, so we don't know if this is new for him, or, if this is something different for him.
Because they have lines with people saying, like, oh, he's upped his thing. Like, they have people saying lines like that throughout the movie.
Okay.
But like in the scene where Clark is in Gotham, and the scene where he's talking to the people in the apartment or whatever. One guy says something like, now, he says a line like that where he's now upped his game or something.
Yeah, good point.
But it's like all you needed was one little thing explaining that ever since the death of Jason Todd, whenever it was, he's slowly progressed into this farther thing, and it's like it's enough, but. And instead we're just left to be like, why is he killing people?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, they'll retcon it, and then all the fanboys will be like, well, he doesn't do it in any of the other movies, so don't worry about it. But it's like, again, it just shows that Zack Snyder doesn't get the character, again, when he just blatantly shows him killing people, and then he doesn't realize why people are upset.
Right.
But
anyway, that's the movie, and then we have Justice League. We'll see how that is.
I mean,
maybe there's a couple of bright spots, a couple of not good spots, and it's just like we just don't know.
What worries me again is the biggest worry is one is Zack Snyder again, which is so retarded because I mean that's interesting because I don't know if you heard, but Justice League was originally announced as 2 parts, part 1 and part 2, and now all of a sudden it's only 1 part. And then he has Zack Snyder, if he's going to stay on after Justice League, he's like, I don't know. And I guarantee you, if they hadn't already been in production for Justice League, right when Batman vs Superman came out, they would have absolutely gotten someone else to direct Justice League. But they've made their bed, and now they have to sleep with it sleep with their bed. But yeah, I agree. It's like you want to be hopeful because it is Justice League. They brought on new people, but I mean, for me, this
problem is Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
He is being Ben Affleck in that Justice League trailer.
Yeah,
100% with this wit and like jokes, and it's like, this isn't Batman.
No, it's not even your Batman. In the original, like compared for how he is in the movie to that trailer, it's like,
no, it's not even
wow.
that Batman.
No, yeah, exactly. It's like, wow, you really. And again, it's just that knee-jerk reaction of like, oh shit, people didn't like that. People didn't like all the dark humor. It's not even a dark issue. It's just a joyless, lifeless feel. We don't mind it being dark.
We just don't
care. Yeah, but we just you don't connect with any character. It's all just everyone's sorrow and mulks or sulks the whole time. And but yeah, like how he is in that trailer. I hear you talk to fish.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, I didn't like that either. But anyway, that's gonna be the next thing. Well, Wonder Woman comes out next, and then Justice League next year. So I mean, we'll see.
Which is funny. One comment I saw is like DC fans after every movie like Batman vs Superman is gonna be awesome. Suicide Squad is gonna be awesome. Wonder Woman.
It's true, but yeah. If any of you guys watch this whole thing, then that's props to you guys because
it's very raw and very amateur
and very unorganized and terrible.
But so is the movie though.
That's true. The movie unorganized. So, anyway, hopefully we'll get better at this as it goes on. But, anyway, so, yeah, we'll be doing more, pretty much all Batman, mostly Batman stuff, superhero stuff, and then, I don't know, maybe we'll do some other movies.
Big ones, that you have to talk about,
Yeah. Anything kind of related to kind of pop culture and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
anyway, so I think we'll do Suicide Squad next. Hopefully, maybe next week or something.
Yeah, gotta do what was relevant, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm sure they'll also do an ultimate cut of that movie, too.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stuff has been cut from that movie, and it looks you can tell. So
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see about that. As you know what? I'm Mark, and that's Ian, and we'll talk to you guys next time.